All right, friends. All right, friends. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper Pre-Party Show. Folks, you're going to want to get your tinfoil hat for this one because we got a real interesting topic tonight. And I got a top secret letter from a four-letter agency. I know you've heard of three-letter agencies. Four-letter agencies is even more secret squirrel. It's from my third cousin's neighbor's friend, in-law, who heard something from a top secret agent on 4chan. So you're going to want to pay attention when I read that. Okay, folks, this is going to be a real good stream. I want to say first of all, thank you to my mods, including right now I've got Sassy Gal Prepping in the house. As always, please be kind to the mods. You can disagree with me. You can be cruel and hateful to me. I really don't mind. It's not going to bother me. In fact, you're helping me with engagement. But please be kind to the mods. They give their time freely, and I really appreciate them. So that's all we ask. They have full permission to boot anybody out of the chat who is being extremely disrespectful. We do encourage some disagreement and chatter and things like that. But if you're being disrespectful, you could be booted from the chat or put in timeout. And anything racist or sexist is going to be deleted. So don't even bother putting that up. I read all comments. It does take me a couple days sometimes, but I read all comments. And occasionally I do find, some of those kind of trollish things and they get deleted. So, wow, look at that. My tinfoil hat is kind of fading into the smoke. That's pretty interesting. All right. That being it. That's the housekeeping. Let me say hi to people in chat and then I'll go ahead and get right to the letter. I saw Austrian Stacker here first. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, brother. I hope you're doing well and I hope everything's going okay over in Europe. Appreciate you, Sassy Gal Prepping, helping with the modding tonight. Coin collecting funds. Good to see you, my friend. Radio Jonesy Tasmania. Good to see you, my friend. You're in my prayers this week. You know why. And Shelly Adine, appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And Dragon Girl, thank you so much. Good to see everybody. Fred Petros joining in from Maine. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get started, folks. All right, so got a letter from a four-letter agency from a third cousin's friend who has a neighbor's in-law who read this that was written from a super secret agent on 4chan. And it says, Dear Sarge, that's me. So actually they must be a fan of the show. Dear Sarge, it's very important. I'm sending you this message. Please burn this message afterwards. It's very important that you get this out to your audience. They need to know that on October 4th, there's going to be a test of the emergency broadcast system. And that's it. Nothing else is going to happen. All right. Obviously, that's a stunt. Let's talk about this thing, though. All right, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna dig in because I think this is important, and this is why I'm not gonna spend the whole stream. That's gonna bother me. My OCD. You know what? We're going normal way. There we go. So I'm not going to spend my whole stream making fun of people who think like this. I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to understand where this thing came from, this rumor, why it's bunk, and why you have to beware of people who are using that kind of stuff to manipulate you. Okay, because it's very manipulative. Now, first of all, what is this? What is happening, folks? What is happening? October 4th, FEMA is testing the emergency broadcast system. They do this every few years. Yes, since the last time we did this, the whole wireless networks have all been upgraded to 5G. Woo, 5G, so scary. It's like 5G's been around for a while, folks. And when 5G was being implemented, people were saying, "Don't put the tower in your city; it's going to melt your brain." Well, that didn't happen. Okay, and so there's this theory that's tied into this that really has no basis in any kind of facts or logic. It's just like I did a really deep dive this week. I dug as far as I could and as wide as I could trying to find out where the source of this was. And I can't, it's like a wildfire. Like once one of these things starts, it just pops up all different spots all at once. But the best indication is that it popped up either on 4chan or what was the other one? 4chan, 8chan. Where else do we see this? That's all right. I'll find it. Don't worry. So, oh, did I find it? There it is. Okay. 4chan and QAnon, other places where QAnon posts happen. So you might see some Reddit and stuff in there as well. So what the rumor is that the if you got the poke, if you got the jab for the pandemic, if you understand what I'm saying. And I have to be careful because legit, I was going through my channel today and I had a video demonetized from when that was happening that had nothing about conspiracy theories. It was actually a very positive thing about like don't freak out about the toilet paper, just plan ahead, things like that, right? And that video got demonetized, so it's in the process of getting appealed right now. It's like why is I didn't even say anything bad, but the only thing I think is that because I said that word. So if you got the jab, the theory goes, and it is just conspiracy theory. There's no basis in any facts whatsoever. Sorry, um, that the 5G towers during the emergency broadcast test are going to activate graphene nanobites in your body to turn you into a zombie, make your head explode. Then it starts to like the theories change after that, like which is nonsense, right? Like it just gets more and more ridiculous. I guess it makes you more susceptible to alien abductions or whatever. So there's no, as far as I can tell, I did a deep research into this. There's no graphene, whatever they're calling it, in any of the pokes. Um, we can have see, this is the thing when you come up with stuff like this that's just like really out there, it takes away from discussions that need to be had that are more serious. That's why I have a problem with it, right? So I like a good conspiracy theory. I've told you before, I don't think that Oswald acted alone with the JFK shooting. There's a few other ones that I find very, very interesting. Um, but the more outlandish it is, then people stop taking this stuff seriously and we can't have legitimate discussions, right? So let me check chat here real quick and then we're going to come back to this. All right. It's good to see everybody. Happy Friday. Preparedness guy. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate that. You're a handsome devil too. Appreciate you. Uh yeah, the end is near, right? Start. Make sure at least you have popcorn. Make sure you got popcorn for the apocalypse. The end is always near, and that's what we're going to talk about, right? Like that, I'm going to get into that the end is always near, and it has been for 2,000 years, maybe 7,000 years. The end has always been near. There's always been signs. There's always been war, pestilence, famine, drought, you name it. Y2K hype. Yep, that actually came up in my research. Yep. 5G, the end is near. So I've been using that 5G phone for several years right now. I get great reception on it. It's awesome. Shireen's good to see you. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Vanessa Kitty, appreciate you. Modern Refugee, appreciate you. How you guys doing tonight? I enjoyed, by the way, I really enjoyed your video about safety and survival while traveling. I really thought that was a great one. Y'all need to check that out on Modern Refugees channel. The world seems to be yeah. So there's been numerous doomsdays. We're going to name a few of them tonight. Just in my lifetime, there's been numerous doomsdays. I'm not saying that it's never going to happen. I can tell you with 100% certainty it's not next Wednesday. And in fact, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I will be live streaming. I changed around my schedule that day, so I'm going to take my lunch break. So I'm not going to be able to stay on long, but I'm going to live stream, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is during that day because it's supposed to be at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be live. If you're going to put your phone away in tinfoil or in your Faraday bags or whatever, that's fine. You can watch it afterwards. And if my head explodes, you're going to get a great live stream. It's going to be awesome. But it's not going to happen. So then, but if I'm wrong, and like something does happen to me and I live, I know I'm not, but let's say that did, hypothetically speaking, I will take full accountability that I was wrong. I will say, I apologize to the preparedness community. I was a bad little sheep and I should be ashamed of myself. And I will take full accountability of that. But if you're one of those channels out there that's been saying that, you should be aware, you should, just to be safe, or you never know, or whatever, and you've been hyping up your audience with fear, I want you to also take accountability. I want you to take accountability and say, I was wrong and I shouldn't have hyped up fear on such a non-issue. Let's save when we want to give people alerts. This is why it's important, folks. This is why When you want to get somebody's attention, like a category 5 hurricane is coming and you need to get people prepared, that's what we need to let people know. If for some reason we had legitimate, creditable information that we were about to get struck by one of our enemy nations, absolutely. That's when we throw off the 5 alarms. We all get that word out as quick as we can to as many people as we can, try to help as many people as we can. But when we pump up stuff like this, that's not grounded in any kind of reality, we just do damage to the entire preparedness community. People who are kind of on the fence and maybe want to learn start to say, "I'm There's no way I'm jumping in that pool. This is beyond anything that I was prepared for. I'm just going to go back to cutting my coupons." Right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Cutting coupons saves you a lot of money, and you should do that. But yeah, there's been these doomsday prophecies, and that's what they are. They're false prophecies. Don't try to make it say into something else. It's a false prophecy, and you're a false prophet if you're spreading this stuff, and you need to stop. There've been so many of these just in my lifetime alone. Yeah, they'll. I mean, I think there'll eventually be a 6G, and whatever's next after that. God is great. It's good to see you, Tal Gray. Appreciate you. Yep. If you watch my stream on Wednesday, you are going to get a front row seat to the big show. I actually think it's going to be pretty anticlimactic, and I apologize in advance for that. By the way, if you're new to the channel, I gained a bunch of new viewers this month. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And if you're enjoying this video at all so far, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I am going to be doing a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. And those of the audience who've been with me for a long time know that my giveaways are usually pretty good. I've given away hundreds of dollars in gear, some precious metals, things like that. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notifications on, because I won't tell you exactly when it's going to be. That's how I do my giveaways. You're not going to know. It's just going to be like, boom, a live stream is going to go up and it's going to be, okay, tonight's the night we're doing the 5,000 giveaway. I like to reward the people that are consistently, being part of this community, chatting, whatnot. So I don't make you hit the like button or enter your email or anything like that. This is how I reward the audience. Yeah, there's some other stuff going on too. But that could have happened on any given day. Um, there's something else going on that next week in our community, and I looked at that, but it's not like anything apocalyptic or anything like that, but it did catch my attention, like, oh, this is something to be aware of. Yep, that's probably the video right there. Check that one out. Modern Refugees got a great channel. Make sure you're subscribed when you get over there. Whoops, sorry, I played up for a few more seconds. So there's other things that I think we should be a lot more worried about right now than this. While I'm reading the comments, I think the government shutdown, which is going to happen, is not good for, especially for military families, and like this affects a lot of people with federal funding. That's a problem. We've got the United Auto Workers Union. That the longer that goes on, the more that's going to screw up the economy. And I'm not saying they don't deserve good pay. Of course they do. They deserve good pay because we have an economy got really jacked up in the last few years, and inflation has gotten so high that average middle class families can't afford groceries. So my heart absolutely is with the United Auto Workers. All I'm saying is that the longer this thing goes on, the more it's going to screw with other sectors in the economy. Like we're teetering on, like, do we go further into this recession? And yes, it's a recession, despite what the talking heads on television try to tell you, it is a recession. Or do we start to pull ourselves out of it? And there's a couple big issues at play: the strikes, we've got the government shutdown. So there's a lot happening right now, and those are big issues. We don't know why. Well, somebody knows why. We don't know why our F-35s are crashing on. That's our most expensive jet. That's for like our defense. We don't know why they suddenly become problematic. Leading theory is still a lightning storm. I know I've read other stuff out there. People have sent me emails and things like that. I get it. I'm following all that too. This is my backyard. That happened not far from us. So I am, and we have the Air Force Base not far from us. So I am following all that story. I'm trying to keep an open mind that maybe there's more to us. But right now, all evidence points to the lightning storm. Yeah, so that's interesting that you say that, Vanessa Kitty. When we had I wasn't living here at the time, but out of Charleston Air Force Base, we have the C-19s or C-17s, and people who were here during that time said that the planes were just like nonstop flying out of Charleston Air Force Base during like the beginning of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, because this is where like a lot of the equipment was getting moved out of Charleston to get staged at the bases. Just seeing if I missed anybody. Hill Country Prepper, good to see you. Thank you. Orlando Preppers, good to see you. Appreciate you. You are too compliant. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Gil's good to see you, my friend. Campton Family Compound also has a great channel, and Gil has done a lot of great homesteading type videos over the years. Shows you some cool gardening stuff. Definitely check out his channel as well. Gil from Camp Patton, sorry, Camp Patton Family Compound. My bad. All right, so let's go on to, and look, I don't see any questions there. If you guys have questions, or if you want to say, hey, I disagree, and here's why, throw it in chat. If you got evidence that I wasn't able to find, by all means, if you feel comfortable, throw it in chat. I will check it out. I promise I will check it out. Um, all right. So then I want to go into. I pulled up some stuff here. Sorry. All right. These are 10 10 or so of the modern doomsday predictions that did not come to pass. Of course, everyone knows about Y2K. Especially if you're a Gen X or a boomer, you know that about Y2K. Basically, the idea that there was a computer glitch, which there was, known as the Y2K bug, that would lead to widespread system failures and chaos at the turn of the millennium. So, in other words, on New Year's Eve of 1999, when the clocks turned, the internal clocks of the computers at that time had not been programmed past 1999. So there was concern that like things were going to go into some kind of catastrophic failure. That didn't happen. At best, there was like a few minor hiccups. So that was a big one. The next one here wasn't that long ago, only 11 years ago, the Mayan calendar, right? So there was a lot of people freaking out about the Mayan calendar, which was the Mayan calendar ended on December 21st, 2012. People said, well, the Mayans were really good about prophecy and things like that. So we have to trust that if that's where their calendar ends, that must mean the end of the world. Not listed on here, but when they started up the Large Hadron Collider, there was a lot of people saying that like that's going to be they're going to cause a catastrophic black hole to form, and that it would suck in the Earth and we would all die. Harold Camping's rapture predictions. There was multiple of these. If you were a Gen Xer, you probably remember these from 1994 to 2011. He has made several failed false prophecies about rapture and the end of the world, saying, well, look at all the signs around us. This is the date. I'm 100% sure. And then when the date would come and go, he would say, oh, that date was wrong. God changed his mind, whatever, and give you a new date, conveniently a few years down the road, so he could continue to benefit and profit from that. So the idea here is that there's always a backup, right? And so that's what I think you'll see with some of these people that were saying, oh, October 4th, this is going to happen. Here's how they're going to back out. They're going to say, oh, they changed their minds because they knew too many of us were on to them. Or they'll say, or if it gets canceled and rescheduled, because there is a possibility, they said if there's a technological issue or some other reason that they can't run this test, they're going to bump it to October 11th. So if it gets bumped because they're going to say, oh, it wasn't because of a technology issue, it's because we figured out their plan. Right? See how this works? And then, of course, the ultimate back out is to say, well, I don't think this is going to happen, but just in case, you should put your phone in tinfoil and then put it in a Faraday bag or bury it 30 feet under the ground or whatever else people are saying to do. If you want to do that, that's fine, but nothing's going to happen. And I say that with certainty. Enough so that I'm coming out here putting my reputation on the line, and I'm going to do it again on October 4th. I changed my workday around because this is how important it is to me to prove to the community that this stuff, we need to be careful about these false prophecies and focus on credible information and real threats that we have proof of that people need to know about, and let's help our community and not create the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, or the boy who cried wolf 3 times, and then nobody responds because the wolf's never there, right? This actually really matters a lot. I mean, I know some people say, what's the big deal if people are having a little bit of fun with this? Because it matters. All right, let's keep going. Heaven's Gate cult. 1997, the Heaven's Gate cult believed that a comet Hale-Bopp was a sign of an impending doomsday event, and they all committed mass self-harm in hopes that they would get beamed up to the extraterrestrial spacecraft. And there was Comet Elenin in 2011. Some conspiracy theorists suggested that Comet Elenin would collide with Earth, leading to widespread destruction. This one comes up actually quite a bit whenever there's a meteor near Earth. The comet disintegrated as it approached the sun and had no impact on Earth. Multiple blood moon prophecies. Various predictions have linked lunar eclipses. That's what it is. We got a lunar eclipse coming up too. I don't think it's next week, is it? But we do have one coming up, and that's what I saw. And I was like, oh, watch. People are going to say lunar eclipse. That means it's a sign that the end of the world is happening. No, it doesn't. We have lunar eclipses all the time. Often referred to as blood moons, and this is not just modern times. People have linked them with apocalyptic events throughout history, and they've consistently failed to materialize in any kind of real statistical significant way. And there was Planet X, Nibiru. The idea of a hidden planet, Nibiru, or Planet X on a collision course with Earth has been a recurring doomsday prediction with no credible evidence supporting its existence. Okay, so what makes this one a little bit interesting is that scientists are searching for planetoids that are outside the range of Pluto, like at the farthest distances of our solar system. That is true. So when that story comes into it, people talk about, oh, that's Planet X. It just kind of gets. This is one of those things where science blends with these prophecies and things like that. But it's never really been. There's no indication that anything a planetoid outside of Pluto's range is any kind of danger to us. Could there be like a very long cycle where it has an unusual orbit? Sure. We haven't seen anything that indicates that. Okay, and we haven't even found anything that is close to that yet. 2011 rapture prediction, May 21st, 2011. Another failed prediction by Harold Camping. We already talked about Nibiru. 2020, various apocalyptic predictions. There was a lot of this going along, especially when the pandemic started up, that this was like, one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Listen, hey, we've seen some bad plagues in the history of humanity. We've seen some bad pandemics, bad plagues. Comparatively, I'm not saying that this one wasn't bad, because yes, a lot of people did die. I know people who died from this. I know people who lost multiple family members from this. But comparatively to some of those plagues that we've seen throughout humanity's history, this wasn't even close. All right, let me go back. Let's check your chat again. See if you guys got any questions, anything you want to add to the discussion, any debates. A lot of activity over by Lockland, and that happens here a lot too. And we never know exactly why. There could be one day where the jets are just flying like crazy. Could be just that's the day that they're testing. We never really get any kind of indication. A lot of times it happens on Fridays, and we get, speaking of boomers, let's go boomers. We get sonic booms, which are pretty interesting. And it tends to, like, you're not going to expect it. And it does tend to kind of make you jump a little bit. Gen X, I saw a great meme about Gen X, that we were the only generation that was the age 30 at 5 years old, and is still 30 at the age of 50. It looks better on the meme than how I just said it. I appreciate that, Jonesy. Thank you. Yes, the mothership is coming for us again. Always tomorrow, my friend. Always tomorrow. Always tomorrow. So if you wanted to ask me, if you wanted my personal beliefs, because I am a person of faith, I think that for 2,000 years or longer, we have had signs. This is a very prolonged decline of humanity. Okay. I don't know what made anyone think that the apocalypse had to happen in a year or 6 months or anything like that. Maybe it's a 10,000 year apocalypse. Maybe it's in the history of the planet and other species, 10,000 years is really actually not that long. It's just from our perspective as humans who live 70 to 100 or so years, It seems very, very long, but maybe it's a 10,000 year apocalypse. Maybe it's a 100 million year apocalypse. There's no way to say for sure, other than I can tell you that plagues, famine, war, pestilence, um, all that stuff has been happening for over 2,000 years. Yeah, they're selling fear. They're selling fear is what they're doing. Yep, they're peddling. Exactly. And it's exciting, right? So here's the thing. There are conspiracies that we know this. There are conspiracy theories that the prepping community has uncovered that have turned out to be true, right? Quite a few, actually, quite a few. Why sacrifice our credibility on ones that are really far-fetched and outrageous, right? So we know that I got to be careful because I'm going to get into stuff here. If I start some of the stuff, it's going to get me into trouble with YouTube. I'll just say we know that some of the things that the prepping community knew about and was talking about beforehand in the last 23 years came to pass a lot. Um, some of those topics YouTube doesn't want you to talk about, and I've actually had 2 videos monetized for that, demonetized. Sorry. Um, so why why would we waste our credibility that actually can help us to get more people prepared for stuff that is going to happen, more recessions, more storms, probably war at some point in our future, right? Those are all very likely. More recession. um, we'll probably face more like unknown novel diseases, things like that. All of those are very, very likely in our future. Why sacrifice our credibility for things that we know that we are going to happen, for things like Planet Nibiru, which there's no credible evidence, right? It's just somebody said on 4chan or wherever, or 8chan or wherever, Reddit, Twitter, Truth Social, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm part of some of those communities as well. I like conspiracy theories. They're fun, but you got to be able to separate and use your critical thinking and say, okay, let's apply Occam's razor here. How likely is it that my head is going to explode on October 4th, or versus nothing's going to happen? It's just going to be another test, just like all the other tests they've done. That's pretty lopsided in the nothing's going to happen category. So why are we susceptible to this? Well, let's get into that a little bit. And I put a lot of work into researching this week, and especially this part of it was interesting for me because I'm a student of psychology. I'm a therapist by trade, so this is this part here I found particularly interesting. Why do we like to get into these conspiracy theories? Why are we fascinated by apocalyptic scenarios and doomsday predictions? Well, number one is fear and anxiety, the uncertainty about the future. And yes, we are in tough times. We're not by any means stretch of the means in the toughest of times that humanity has seen. Not even in the last 100 years, right? World War II probably was the toughest times for humanity in World War II, was in the last 100 years. But you go back further than that, and there's been much, much more difficult times than what we currently live in. That's not to downplay that people are struggling. I get it. Sometimes we struggle too. We've had some bills that were really hard to pay this year. I get it. I get that there's wars going on. I get that there's supply chain issues that come and go. I get that there's medication shortages happening. I get that there's some really weird stuff happening that doesn't add up, right? Like disasters and things like that. I think about the same things that you all think about. I trust me. Some of that stuff doesn't add up the way that it should, right? So fear and anxiety creates that emotion in us, and if we have comfort, we get some comfort by thinking we know what will happen, right? And that's why we prep. That's why we tell people. People say, "Well, you must be really scared. You're always thinking about these what if scenarios." No, preppers don't feel scared usually. We feel prepared. There's a big difference. That's why we do it, right? Confirmation bias. We tend to seek information that confirms our existing beliefs, right? So if I don't trust some of the reporters on CNN, and I don't, um, I'm less likely to believe anything they have to say. And if anybody else that I follow says something contrary to that, I'm going to take that as confirmation. And it's a subconscious thing, not so much a choice. It's a subconscious thing. And you say, aha, see, I knew I was right, and that's kind of, that all humans are susceptible to that. Cultural and religious influences can definitely play a role in this. As Christians, we have a deep spiritual beliefs that surround the end times. Book of Revelations as Christians, and other faiths have different versions of that. And so it is part of our faith. And so we are always looking at those things and analyzing what's happening in the world. Yes, absolutely. Social influence, the communities that we surround ourselves with are more likely or less likely to reinforce them, right? So if I'm part of a chat group that's always talking about the JFK assassination, I'm going to be more likely exposed to more and more people who say, yeah, JFK, Oswald did not act alone because X, Y, Z. And I'm going to say, yes, aha, I knew it, right? And that is one that I personally believe in, and other people have said you're crazy. This has been investigated and investigated. Okay, that's my personal belief. That's fine, and I respect yours. I'm just saying let's be careful about how we spread this stuff. So psychological factors. Unfortunately, some people are also more likely to believe things. It gives them a sense of purpose, a desire for a dramatic narrative, and that can be a part of it for the type of person who's more likely to believe sensational things. Media and popular culture, right? So if there's a lot of predictive, it's called predictive programming type events. If there was, for example, after the movie Armageddon and Deep Impact, there was a lot of increased anxiety in Doomsday prophecies around comets that were going to hit the Earth because they were showing it in the movies. It gets in your head and you start thinking about it more and more. Mistrust of authorities. How many of us in the prepping community have some mistrust of authorities, right? So we are more likely to reject mainstream media information and seek out other sources. That's okay, but still keep that critical thinking going. Personal crisis. People facing a personal crisis are unfortunately more prone to apocalyptic thinking. For them, the world may feel like it's ending, and so they start to see it with that confirmation bias also in other things in the world. Internet and information bubbles kind of goes along with the social your social circle, basically same idea. We have a tendency as humans to exist in these echo chambers that just reinforce what we already believe. And selective memory, right? So this is one where I've actually seen this with stock people who claim to be like expert stock pickers. um, and this is another way that they're like snake oil salespeople in that community sometimes as well. So they'll pick 15 stocks over the course of the year and say, this one, this one, this one, and this one are going to be winners, right? And then maybe two out of those 15 hit it, but hit it really big. And then they're going to basically ignore selective memory, ignore all those other failures, and say, and they're going to market themselves as, see, I was the person who predicted that XYZ stock was going to hit 200%. Not only did it hit 200%, it hit 270%, and that becomes a great marketing scheme for those people who want to manipulate their community like that. And you can do that in any niche. You could absolutely do it in prepping. You could do it in fitness. You could do it in the diet culture world. You basically, if you throw spaghetti at the wall, one thing's going to stick, and then that becomes, you were the person who picked that strand of spaghetti was going to stick. You understand what I'm saying? Just metaphor. All right, let's check chat one more time here, and then I'll start to wrap it up. Yeah, this test has been done many, many times. It really has. It has to be, by federal law. It actually has to be tested every 3 years. So if we survive this one in 3 more years, you can expect that there's going to be people peddling fear again. That the next one is the one. That's the one. Yeah, and I mean, we took some basic preps as well. That was with my ex-wife. We took some basic preps. See if I missed anything here. So I don't get into that too much. I've talked about it a little bit. The My focus tends to be more on like the Bilderberg group, which is basically If you're not familiar with that, it's a group of world leaders in politics and business, and that's not just the United States, where we have a huge problem with politics being influenced by business, but it's also Europe as well. And I'm not sure how many people from Australia are involved with that as well. But the Bilderberg Group is this retreat that they do, and it's top secret. And why why are some of the biggest businesses in the world meeting with government leaders? Government leaders who decide law, who decide how they're going to regulate you, the peasant, and policy that's going to affect your rights as a peasant. Uh, that one concerns me. I focus more on the Bilderberg Group, but you can bet that there's some of the same players are involved here. Yeah, so I will absolutely tell you how to do that, Orlando. No worries. You got to use StreamYard for it. I'll tell you that. I don't mind telling everybody actually the how to do the background here. So what you got to do is download some pictures or create some pictures. This one's actually AI created. I know, ooh, he's using AI. This one's AI created, and then you go into StreamYard, and there's a menu option in StreamYard that will let you choose your background. And underneath that, like you guys can't see it, my hand could go back far enough, it would disappear. See how it's kind of disappearing there? Behind that is a green screen. So it's just basically you could get a dark green sheet, and that would work for that. It will work without a green screen, but it's going to work more effectively with a green screen. So that will actually, if I move around a lot, you can start to see the digital effect. But when you're sitting still, it's pretty good, and you can do fishing scenes, you can do whatever you want with it. That's right, and that's what we Christians believe, anyways, right? That only the Father knows. Yeah, this could be your skyline at some point in the future, man. Uh, that could be New York, that could be LA. All right, see if I got anything else here I missed. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thanks so much. If you're enjoying the video, if you're enjoying tonight's stream, please consider giving a thumbs up. We're getting ready to wind this one down here in just a second. Yeah, and so that kind of goes along with that predictive programming too. It is interesting. It is interesting when you think about some media things that have come out. Contagion's a good example. Contagion's a really good example. Some media things that have come out, and The Simpsons is like famous for this. Like The Simpsons predicted everything. Um, it's weird that like, and then a year or two later, like whatever happened on a big movie or a TV show or whatever, it's happening. All right. I think I caught up with all your chat there. I want to say a couple things here before we wind this one down. I say, number one, thank you so much. If you disagree with me, that's fine. If you feel more comfortable putting your phone away and shutting it off, or that's fine. You're not hurting me. What I'm asking is more so for members of the community who are spreading fear about this and false information. Uh, think about it. Think about what that does to the credibility of our community, and it matters, right? So when do we want people to be afraid? We don't want people to ever be afraid. We want people to be prepared. Sometimes fear is a motivator, right? Maybe it was for many people in the audience right now. Fear can be a motivator, but we have to use that appropriately, right? So when is the time when we know hurricane is coming to New Orleans? Let's get the word out, right? How serious is this? Well, it's a category 3. This is what happens with category 3 hurricane, right? This is what you can expect. Let's use it appropriately. And yeah, we have to look at world events. We have to look at the war with Ukraine and Russia. We have to look at our tension with North Korea and China. And China has been a trade ally of ours. Whether you want to say that they were an ally, they were definitely a trade ally of ours for decades. And there's more and more tension building there that if that falls apart, it's going to be ugly, right? That's something that we all need to be, that's a real threat that everybody needs to be paying attention to. I hope it doesn't happen. I've talked to you before. I've had students that I've worked with that have come over from China to learn from me how to be a therapist, right? I do business with a couple companies in China, right? And they've been good to me, and I've brought them some business as well, right? So it's not a good thing if this falls apart, really. This is like our trade relations with China has prevented conflict. And it also has gotten um, the quality of life for both the United States and China has benefited from this, right? They have a middle class because of our trade relations. So there's a lot that can be gained if that relationship can be salvaged. And if it falls apart, there's a lot of bad stuff that could go along with that. So we don't ever want to see, I know about the copyright theft. I know about things like that. And it's a huge problem. We need to let our leaders need to start pressuring to work out some stuff about that. I know about the trade imbalances, right? But there's still a lot to be gained by us not getting into a physical confrontation with China. If you've got kids and you've got grandkids, you should be wishing for anything but war, because something like that is going to cause them much, much more strife than it's going to cause me as a 50-year-old, right? I'm not getting drafted. I'm not. Your kids, your grandkids could. Your nephews and nieces could. An attack on the U.S. soil could look like this. Okay, that's real stuff that we need to be paying attention to, and we all need to be rooting for that it doesn't ever get to that point. Not wishing for it, rooting that it doesn't. All right. So how do we end this one out? So the number one advice from Sarge is always going to be the same thing it always has been: keep prepping, right? Keep preparing, make sensible decisions, especially about your budget. Do not blow your budget on stuff that you don't need or can't afford, right? I've been prepping for a long time. I didn't start out with great kit. It took me years to accumulate the kit and the gear and the food and get some good decent emergency savings going. That didn't happen right away. So if you're just starting out, there's going to be feel that pressure to like I got to catch up. No, you don't. The world is not ending on October 5th, October 4th. I mean, the world is not ending on October 4th or 5th. Uh, be sensible. Make good decisions based on your finances for your family. Do not blow up your credit card. Right? You absolutely can do this. Get prepared. My recommendation on this channel has consistently been prepare for the small stuff, storms, recessions, things like that, food shortages, medication shortages. Prepare for the small stuff. And over time, you will also be prepared for the big stuff. That is the opposite of what a lot of other people preach, which is prepare for the big stuff, and you'll also be prepared for the small stuff. Why don't I teach it that way? Because that leads to people going out and spending $10,000 on kit that they don't need or can't afford. Okay, that's why I teach it the way that I do. Folks, I really appreciate you. I'm going to check your chat one more time and then I'm going to say goodnight so you can go enjoy your family, enjoy your weekend, and peacefully not worry about October 4th. Seriously. Fear is a liar. Fear is one of my senseis taught me that fear is false evidence appearing real. Hill Country, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm on Instagram as well. My link was screwy for a while. I fixed all my links this week as well. I mean, I hope we never get into it. I hope we never have to go to war with them. It's gonna be it's My fear is that it's gonna make World War II look like a cakewalk, which is saying a lot. World War II was awful. If they do, um, if they do, it's on. It's on because we will. I mean, nobody loves war more than the United States. I say that with some dark sarcasm. The United States is not going to take a hit and not come back swinging. That's 100% certain. Maccabee, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining in. Bacon, it's good to see you. I think I said that before. I might have. Angie, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good Friday. All right. Did I get everybody? Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, folks. Make sure you get out this weekend if you're getting good weather. Enjoy yourselves. Relax. Relax. October 4th is not it, folks. Okay. We're gonna keep our eye on the sky. We're gonna keep prepping. We're gonna be prepared, but also enjoy your life, right? Don't live in fear and don't go out and blow up your credit card. Please don't do that. You're gonna create your own personal crisis if you do that. Have fun. Say hi to your family. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.